Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everybody, come on in. We're getting ready to celebrate two great lives, and we're going to talk a little bit about Africa. And so get ready for that. And but we're going to do us first. So tell everybody, share this. We're going to have good fun. And I want to remind everyone tomorrow we're going to be doing uh, me, Jaguar, Dewan are going to be talking. This is truly a momentous occasion for all of our platforms. Please turn out. Tell everybody we're trying to keep it real. It's going to be very interesting this year, in spite of how it looks. In fact, I hope you guys are getting nicer weather. It was in the 60s today here. I am so happy. Wow. Anyway, let me see. So I'm going to put this live everywhere. Hey, there are 5 people there. And we're bringing in another channel. How are you? Good. Good. That's great. Step right in. I think he's put this in, so we'll be. There we go. He's going to come up and we're going to be popping on and popping in just a matter of minutes, just a matter of seconds. So come on in. Come on in. Hold on. Add something to this. No. No, yeah, I'll leave that on. I like that message. Okay. Hello, everyone. Get ready. Get ready. And I'm about to bring on the Angry Black Men's thing. Come on. It's time. Hold on. Let me go to my channel. Hey, white woman to you, good sir.
White woman. White woman.
Let me see. I want to go in and I want to do live. I want to go to the schedule. Here it is. All right. We'll be ready in 1 second. And I hope you had a great white day working. Hope that slave was good to you. Okay. Our slaves need to be good to us, don't they? Okay. 14. Hey, Diggs. You ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll it. Hey, Brother Mark. Hey, Quiet Scales. Hold on 1 second. Check your text. He sent you a link. Bye. Okay. We're going to celebrate. Tonight we celebrate our love for you. Okay. Read your instructions. Jaguars tomorrow. I'm always clear about stuff. There's no questions. Forgive me, as a teacher, I get embarrassed as a student if I ask. This is me and Q. No Jaguar. I wouldn't even do people like that. I'm not like the person Kamala y'all voted for that promised that Beyonce was going to sing and she didn't. I don't do that. Jaguars tomorrow, 7 p.m. It's 9 something now. It couldn't be the same thing. Everything is straight. Hey, Brother Mark, everybody, rules moderators. Anybody says anything stupid, 24 hours timeout. We don't need them. We don't. I mean, we're not fighting. In fact, pretty soon this is going to change significantly. Can you imagine if we pull in and the algorithm gets smashed because there's an algorithm making it difficult for us to communicate and all this other kind of stuff. And for communications, even if I send them out, you don't see them. What happens when that doesn't happen anymore? So we don't need to beg people to participate. It's not even about that. A lot of these people that make comments we don't want anyway. I don't want any racists. I don't want to convert anyone. If you've made up your mind you want to be a supremacist, be one. Here we go. Here we go.
Yo, what's up, Dr. Short?
Oh man, I feel fine. In fact, I took some drugs before to make certain I took enhancement drug. I mean, what is it? Performance enhancement drugs, so I could do better tonight. I'm gonna take some now. This is just some ginseng, and don't you guys bitch, because you guys are all sports betting. All the athletes you like take and performance enhancing drugs, so we can do that during our lives, can't we, Brother Q? And at least it's not the cannabis, because that messed me up. So help myself to some ginseng. I don't care who doesn't like it. And I had some ashwagandha, but this is good. This tastes good. I'm going to take a little bit more so I can be nice and high, so we could talk about music. And since a lot of musicians use drugs anyway, this is sort of a tribute, right? Okay. Now I'm nice and high. But naturally, I bought this from Amazon. And I'm not boycotting them. I don't care what sorry ass Jamal Bryant says. I mean,
yeah, they don't even know.
He needs to boycott being a hoe, boycott being a fake coon preacher. He needs to boycott taking people's tithes. He needs to boycott having a double life. There's a lot of shit he needs to boycott. I mean, shoot, he needs to picket being a hoe. So let me see. So let put on my fake glasses. And I hope you've got your technical shit worked out tonight.
Yeah, I should be good.
And I got my blue light glasses on. I should put my other light on. Because you know what? This fluorescent light makes my head look like it's a shining crystal ball. Let me put this light on. Let me put my good white studio light on, so I can look more black. I can deceive my audience like the CBC. See, now I look blacker with more white light. Don't y'all like the white light effect? I'm blacker now because it used to be I would be like shining. And people think I'm passing. No, I'm not. I'm okay. Deborah White. And I love your last name again. You better keep that name. Somebody's gonna take it from you. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. We just had we had 3, but I don't really know as much about the Isley brothers. A lot of you probably just love them. I just know they're from Ohio. Yeah, I know Chris Jasper. I know who died, and I know he played guitar and all that kind of stuff. The Isley brothers always impressed me as kind of nasty. Although I did like the song, you make me want to shout, throw my hands up. And I like this stuff from the early 70s. Fight power, right? And who's that lady? Who's that lady? Sexy lady. Who's that lady? I liked somewhat. I just never got into buying the Isley brothers. I just have to say, maybe it's because the way that they would dress, they all look like pimps. I didn't like that. So, I mean, the people we liked the most were the Commodores, Earth, Wind, and Fire. At least the people I was around. Isley brothers, kind of, but Earth, Wind, and Fire, oh my God, people love them. Parliament Funkadelic, yes. The Isley brothers, yeah, kind of. But, So, I'm not doing Jasper Isley. I'm not going to pretend I know all their music. Yeah, we love the Spinners. There are all kinds of people we like. The Isley brothers, They were good. They were out for a long time. And what's that song? Between the Sheets and all that. But we want to do classy people. That's my bias. I'm gonna be a little bougie. I'm gonna be boule, so I can oppress y'all. Y'all love me since I'll ignore the stuff you like. Same way we go after preachers that don't serve us, and we elect the same no good politicians 50, 60 years that won't do anything for us. And there's something about black folks that like disrespect and dismissal. So I'm dismissing the Isley brothers today. I'm sorry. And I'm going to talk about Roberta Flack and Jerry Butler.
You want to talk about her before Jerry?
Well, which one do you want me to do first? Because Jerry Butler died first, but do we do the ladies first? We should be sexist. We just to fight you, pork chop feminists. Yeah, we're gonna put the women first. We're gonna be sexist and honor the woman first. We're gonna put the men are gonna have to wait, and we're gonna honor the woman first, just to spite you feminists. Yeah, we're gonna open the door. We're gonna pull the chair back. We're gonna be patriarchs, whether you hoes like it or not. We're gonna pay when we go out to eat. You can't. I'll refuse your money. Now, what were you saying?
From the perspective of her, Roberta Flack is more interesting. I think people.
Oh my God! Yeah. Well, because Jerry Butler's ass was. His hits were further from, a lot of people weren't even born when that nigga was making hits, right? And the difference is just that, with all due respect, he wasn't as big as she was. I mean, let's just deal with it. Jerry Butler was great for the Chitlin circuit, but not a super giant in international music and pop, not the way that Roberta Flack was. With all due respect.
I have to say, my introduction to Roberta Flack was the Electric Company.
Oh,
that's
wow.
what I remember her. For me. And I know she's a Howard alum like yourself.
Yeah. To see, this is a whole thing. Jerry Butler, I have a 6 degrees of separation relationship with Jerry Butler. And I have several 6 degrees of separation with Roberta Flack as well, as I met her 40 years ago. Certain people weren't even born 40 years ago. And Roberta Flack is one that I genuinely liked. My introduction to Roberta Flack would be, I would have known about Roberta Flack before she got famous. Let me just say this. Roberta Flack was 88 when she passed. She's from North Carolina, and she came to D.C. She taught in the school system as well. She attended Howard University School of Fine Arts. And Roberta Flack's life and my life intersect by virtue of the fact that my father began working at Howard University around the same time that Roberta Flack made her first record. And Roberta Flack was connected to the people who were responsible for or played a role in my father being brought to Howard University. So let me just go back and tell you that Roberta Flack, Donny Hathaway, I can't remember this friend of mine that's died within the last few years. Richard Smallwood, and there are a range of other people. These were all fine arts majors at Howard University. And all of this relates to a range of things. So I'll try to give you context and background of Roberta Flack. Howard University's Fine Arts Department, I would say to this day, is a contradiction. It's a contradiction because you have all of these Black students and many Black teachers, and yet many times you have a curriculum that is very, very Eurocentric. It's less so now than it was years ago. Howard University, literally until about 1969, 70, you had to send a photograph with your application. If you were too black, you didn't, like a big, like you bangy nose on your cheeks or on your out here, you might not get admitted. That's wrong. You have to understand that Howard University that Roberta Flack was attending, Howard University is the epicenter of academic Black resistance to white supremacy and also to the BWAC. People need to understand that Howard University, there was an attempt to make Howard University a predominantly white school in the late 1960s. And there's still an attempt to make Howard a white school by Blacks who think white is better. So you have all these people who think they're going to a Black university or a place where they're going to be accepted and embraced as Black people with whatever their background is. And you come to a place, the teachers may be Black, but they're trying to make you conform to be more white-like. I'm not exaggerating. I will say to you, I used to be in the chapel choir. When I met Roberta Flack, I was in the chapel choir. You do not sing gospel, not then. It's changed. But it used to be you wouldn't dare sing gospel music at Howard's Chapel. They would put your ass out. Not for the chaplain in them. You don't understand. So things like jazz and gospel and blues, man, y'all don't realize the struggle that we have as a people, even for artists, is not only are you fighting Clive Davis, you're fighting Diddy and Jay-Z. So Howard University was the epicenter of Black resistance, and the anti-Vietnam War movement came out of Howard University basically 60 years ago. Howard University had the first campus takeover in 1967. And they had a campus takeover in 1968. And in 1968, when Roberta Flack was either connected to Howard because Donny Hathaway and other people, Richard Smallwood was still there. Richard Smallwood and others created the Howard University Gospel Choir that to this day, Howard University does not claim the gospel choir. It is at Howard, but Howard couldn't give a damn because it's Black. You need to understand how sick these niggas are, I'm telling you about, in Congress and everywhere else. They hate our guts. They're ashamed of who and what we are. So genuine Black expression, political, whatever, they're against it. They want a simulation at all costs. So Roberta Flack is at Howard catching hell. If like my mother was a fine arts major, and the people would scream, "Get that damn gospel out of your voice." If you were a student at Howard University at the same time as Roberta Flack, and they caught you, it was found out that you were doing blues, jazz, and God forbid, real Black gospel music, they would strip you of your scholarship and throw you out of school.
Wow.
This is what Black, so-called Black, this is what these blue-leg people are telling you. These Black elites, they hate everything that we do and what we say. There's no real appreciation for it. Even when I met Roberta Flack in 1985, she hadn't visited Howard's campus in years because she was trash. Gospel trash. Why aren't you doing classical? Brahms, Beethoven, Chopin, Mozart. Howard University has a jazz band, and their jazz program is hated. They wanted to just go away. It took them 50 years to have an African studies program. They waited until the main pusher for us to study Africa at Howard. They waited for him to die, Leo Hansberry. And then when he died, they created a department that didn't have any money to sort of say, see, we did it. This is what our traitor Black leadership does. They're really against what people need or want. I'm saying all this to say that I'm not certain if Roberta Flack completed her degree at Howard. I assume she did. They gave her an honor or something. But and maybe she finished. But when she finished, she was teaching the public school system and doing other things, right? And she's performing at a club, which is probably the same, a club that pandered to gay people called Mr. Henry's on Pennsylvania Avenue in Southeast DC. I used to work at Amnesty International USA, whose offices are at the 600 block of Pennsylvania Avenue in Southeast Washington. So Mr. Henry's is directly across the street. A man by the name of Les McCann, musician, found her, and he got her, I guess, connected to people at Atlantic Records. She released her first record in 1969. By the way, that 1969, it merges with what happened at Howard. And the reason I bring it up is people like Donny Hathaway was a gospel musician. Remember what I said? Gospel is trash. Don't get caught playing gospel. They will put your ass is done. I don't even think Donny Hathaway graduated from Howard. Maybe he did. I don't think so. And if you go to Howard, unless they've done it recently, there's nothing to honor Donny Hathaway on Howard's campus. Not a damn thing.
Wow.
Okay, you get that those people. It's the same way Felicia Rashad got basically driven out of Howard, trying to you don't realize that the real minority in America are genuine Black people. We've got a lot of niggas, coons, very few people that are genuinely comfortable with who and what they are, what we look like, and like the culture, understand all of our quirks. We're the minority. And in reality, we need to establish people who are Black and proud, minority rule over the coons. We can't coexist. We have to subjugate them or else they'll destroy us. So what I'm saying to you is Roberta Flack, with all of her ability, do you really think they're going to offer her a teaching position at Howard? Or no. No, no matter. You think she's great, but not good enough to even get a visiting professor? No. Anyway, let me move on. So in 1968, the students at Howard were so angry about religious and cultural persecution. I'm a Pentecostal by background. So we're the niggas that have the churches with the washboards and people sing and shout and scream and storefronts and so forth. By the way, in 1997, I got denied admission to Howard University Department of History because of my religious affiliation. I'm just trying to show you how and the people knew. Yes, after going to Harvard and UVA, I wasn't good enough at Howard. And what was said to me is, well, you know, your father screams and makes a lot of noise in the chapel. What does that have to do with my degree at Harvard and UVA? Right. But it's just, we don't, you guys, y'all make us feel ashamed. But anyway, moving right along. What happened? A coalition of students took over Howard University in a violent student protest, which the police came in and beat, tortured. I had a cousin who died a few years ago. He was part of the protest because they got tired of being messed over for their religious orientation. My cousin Theodore Lancaster, what Howard would do for the people that rose up that said, we want Black studies, we want to be who we are as Black people. Roberta Flack has a song, Make It Real Black for Me, Baby. If you've heard of it. Part of that comes out of this Howard thing is we're going to be who we are in spite of these sellout nigger faculty and administrators at Howard. But when the students rose up and said, we're going to have gospel music, jazz, blues, we're going to have freedom of religion. So if I'm apostolic, holiness, Pentecostal, sanctified Baptist, I don't get persecuted or thrown out of school or my scholarship taken over my religious affiliation. Or if I'm dark skinned. And when the students rose up and stormed, they had the police come and beat the shit out of the student. They kicked the student's ass. And my cousin, they basically, everybody that they had spies, people who had their faces covered to point out the students that had stood up to have Black history and Black studies and other stuff. And those students either got dogged or they destroyed all their records, and there was no record that they ever attended Howard University. My cousin, I don't think, ever got a bachelor's degree. So when you stand up to the boule, they're brutal. They called in the white cops to beat Black people's ass, beat these niggas to show them. And you're going to die in Vietnam. Give the names of the students that raised hell to the draft board to get these people killed overseas. This is who you guys think are your leadership. This is who our talented 10th is. This is what Clyburn is. This is what Hakeem Jeffries is. This is what Kamala Harris and these other people are today, what those folks were then. So someone like Roberta Flack is at Atlantic Records. And remember, the Harvard study came out where they wanted to destroy Black music and put it under control. And I love Roberta Flack. Don't get me wrong. Roberta Flack's great. Roberta Flack's a hero. However, they wanted to replace people like Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin was a loud, assertive Black woman. You'll find throughout the music thing, all of the very aggressive Black artists, for the most part, got phased out for the most part. So that if you start looking at music in the early 70s, you get the Chi-Lites, you get more smooth Black music. Even Philadelphia International was bankrolled by Columbia Records. They had something smoother to take down Motown and Stax and to counter James Brown. I love Philadelphia International. And so I'm not knocking their music, but what white folk are thinking, we need to cool niggas down. Let's change the sound, the frequencies of Black people. They did with white people too. White folks had acoustic rock. Come along, Bread. Hey, have you ever tried reaching out for the other side, right? I'd like to make it with you. They began to bring all this smooth music because of Vietnam, the Vietnam protests, and the Black urban rebellions in America. They realize it's connected to the music. People like Curtis Mayfield need to be kind of phased down. So we need to stop this stuff. So think about it. From like 1967 to 1972, I think, Aretha Franklin always got the R&B stuff every single solitary year. R&B female, everything was Aretha. You know, people thought Aretha was Jesus. People wanted to replace. So Aretha, by the way, is on the exact same record label as Roberta Flack. Atlantic Records and the other people began to go, all the record labels with singer-songwriters, Carole King, the white girl with Tapestry, I feel the earth move under my feet. Well, it's too late, baby, it's too late. She can't sing, but she can write. You had all these singer-songwriters, female. Roberta Flack was like the only Black woman singer kind of like herself. I mean, the only thing that come close that was kind of smooth, you had songstresses like Dionne Warwick, who sort of peaked. She peaked in '69. I mean, let's be honest. Dionne Warwick's basically peaked, and by the way, they went over to Warner Brothers and what's his name? Hal David and Burt Bacharach abandoned her, and she had like marginal hits with the exception of Then Came You with the Spinners. All the Black music got soft. You had the Spinners, you had the Delphonics, and why am I not remembering this group? The ones that sang Bet You By Golly Wow. Why is that name escaping me? Stylistics, the Stylistics. All of this music, Black music, started getting soft, smooth, silky. Okay. Roberta Flack, her song First Time Ever I Saw Your Face was released in '69, but it didn't it didn't hit. But when Clint Eastwood used her song in a movie he made, that's when Roberta Flack took off, and that song was a monster. Okay, and so she had the Song of the Year of like 2 years consecutively. Which the first time they gave a Grammy for Song of the Year, this Black woman got it. Let me explain something to y'all. Song of the Year almost never goes to Black women singers, no matter how well they sing. Okay, Record of the Year, they're very reluctant. Competitive Grammys for vocalists, for pop, seldom is a Black woman, no matter how well. Whitney, yes. Diana Ross has never won a competitive Grammy. Dionne Warwick has. But a lot of them, so you've got this woman that comes along at the right time with the really good sound. She can play, she can sing, and she doesn't fit any category. This woman could do anything: jazz, pop, classical, blues, gospel. She's a virtuoso, and she found her niche. And then of course she has her hits. And you need to understand, because they're here in the DC area, a lot of people, Donny Hathaway is loved in DC. A lot of these people, they were loved because they were here, they were playing music. My music teachers in school initially, because they were hungry, were students from Howard that provided the music education in DC schools. For a lot of kids that didn't have music, they had people come in and teach music. So Donny Hathaway, it was very popular. All of this stuff that they were doing with this, almost what you call neo soul now, was sort of what Donny and them were doing. It's still Black, it's still soulful, but it's more stylized. These people actually trained musicians, not people just learn how to play a guitar jamming, but these are people that know music theory. They're on a whole different level. In a sense, let me say this to you. What Roberta and Donny Hathaway and other people were doing, even Gamble and Huffman doing, Motown got trashed for. People said Motown wasn't really black for bringing in the classical influences and having piccolos and all sorts of instruments that typically were not as if white people have an exclusive monopoly on which instruments can be played for music. Come on. So Roberta brings all of this in. Those albums, the first couple of albums did very well. And her trajectory coincides with the fall of Aretha Franklin. And Aretha Franklin doesn't really reemerge until she leaves Atlantic. And she goes to Arista, to Clive Davis, the same one that helped knock her down at Atlantic. But I mean, Roberta Flack had so many wonderful songs, and I mean, and she did all kinds of things that were unusual. She did songs for movies. One of the first people to start doing songs for movies, but that got big hits. Initially, they got screwed. Dionne Warwick was a candidate for doing music for the James Bond thing. And somehow they decided they didn't want her. But Dionne Warwick later with the song, the movie theme from the Valley of the Dolls, gotta get off, gonna get out, need to get, right? Which goes to number 2. That's a smash hit. And on the back side of it is Say a Little Prayer. So Dionne Warwick sells like 2 or 3 million records off of one single, which was massive back then. That's one of the first times that you get a major American film where it's a black woman vocalist singing. Now, then you begin to get Roberta Flack, who gets that opportunity frequently in the 70s. Are you understanding me? Now, the only way someone could sing a theme to a movie as a black woman, or typically is you had to be in the movie, which Dionne Warwick was not in the Valley of the Dolls. Diana Ross was singing the theme for Lady Sings the Blues. Okay, another pop move to soften, right? Because Diana Ross moves pop, middle of the road, all of that. They're moving black music in a different direction. But back to Roberta Flack, she was classy. Her music with Donny Hathaway, a couple of duets that were quite beautiful, and later Peabo Bryson, were reminiscent of Marvin Gaye and his duets with Mary Wells, Kim Weston, and of course, Tammy Montgomery, who was renamed Tammy Terrell. I'm going to bring that up because one of my brother friends was trying to say that Ernie Terrell, who got his behind beat by Muhammad Ali, whose sister's Jean Terrell, who replaced Diana Ross as the lead singer for the Supremes, that Tammy Terrell was his sister. And I had to explain to him Terrell isn't her original last name. Her original last name is Montgomery. But it was very beautiful. The music that they made between Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack, it was very nice. It was black man and black woman telling each other that they loved each other. Where's the love? All this stuff. And they were both musicians that admired and loved each other. I wish we had that now. Romance. It wasn't even necessarily a sexual thing. They meshed so well because of their love for music and their love for black people. And Roberta Flack, in a sense, was a major symbol of pride for people. She was very, very beautiful. The music that they made was beautiful. She got a lot of...
hit the thumbs up. And let us know in the comments, did y'all know about the history of Howard University, like Dr. Short explained? I never knew none of this stuff about Howard
Oh, man, fake ass people up there. Damn, they're fake.
And how we're told how that arts program that Dr. Short about, is legendary. And without Dr. Short explaining what went on and back then,
it still goes on. I was in the chapel choir. Dr. Norris, the director of the choir, one morning cussed us out. Says, "Damn it, I'm tired of listening to all you goddamn blacks. I want a choir, not a gang. Damn you niggas. All this," he started cussing us out. I'm tired of hearing blacks. I'm so sick of blacks. All these blacks. I just hear niggas singing. Niggas singing. And he says, "You know what? Since y'all want to be niggas, since nobody can lead you, then you direct yourselves." And he stormed out and refused to conduct the choir because we sounded too much like black niggas. And he would always say, "You guys have such good voices, but you have no discipline. White students are so much better. They listen and they harmonize and they actually read the music. They don't try to interpret it, okay? This isn't jazz. This is classical music. And you should respect it." I mean, and I'm sitting there saying, wow. And I'm at the mecca of black education. And yes, and by the way, Dr. Norris, who was the queen, yes, Dr. Norris was the queen. And my friend from Bergen County literally left the fine arts school because he didn't want to trade driving his sports car for sex. After all, David, being from Bergen County, had his own sports car. And curses. So he had to leave the school. Yes. Chadwick Boseman, all those people, his mentor, I forget his name, but Miss Mosley or whatever. I'll look the name up. If you look up Chadwick Boseman's mentor, one of the people I used to hang at my house used to claim that they used to go and pick up men at Malcolm X Park. I'm just telling you our real shit. So it's a heavy anti-black, heavy gay thing. I mean, and being whiteness is next to godliness. So when I joke about all this white shit, I'm having fun. I'm making fun of people. I know people that are like this. I've experienced it. And so I can just tell you, okay, there's a guy, he died within the last, say, 10, 15 years. You've heard that book called Blacks in Antiquity? Mm-hmm. Snowden? Okay, yeah. Snowden was my teacher. And I remember when the first test we took in his class, I got an A, and he took about 15 minutes to talk about how smart I was in spite of my color. What? Yeah, he said it. And it's just, who'd have thought he had photographic memory and all this stuff. So I went to see his secretary once I got an A on the first test. And when I got there, I didn't know his secretary. She said, "Hi, you're Mr. Short." I says, "Yes. I've been expecting you." I says, "Yeah." I says, "Yes. Dr. Snowden told me to expect you. And I have the answer to the question that you have." "You do?" Says, "Yes. You're here. You want to know what kind of grade you're going to get in this class." And says, "Yeah." Says, "Well, Mr. Short, Dr. Snowden is so impressed by your intellect. You transcend your color. Your grade for the semester will be a B, Mr. Short."
Oh.
And it says, "Ma'am," it says, "Dr. Snowden said it's final. You are a B student. Have a good day, Mr. Short."
Damn, you transcend your color?
Yes, I'm not as stupid. I'm not as stupid as I look.
Y'all don't pay me, Dr. Short. I mean, honestly, you guys, this literally, tonight's show is a conversation that me and Dr. Short a lot of times have privately, where some of this stuff that Dr. Short shares with myself and his audience and my audience, it's really comical that you really have Black people that think and act like this.
And after that, each time he had a test, he'd say, Mr. Short, he was 1 point short of getting an A. He really tried, and he just see, Darky, you're not going to cross over. And so I'm not joking. I mean, this is real. And I dare them. Nobody will dare sue me because the shit's true. Okay, I apologize. I am not sorry what I said. If I had lied, I don't need to lie on anyone. Okay. Remember that book, Black Athena, that came out by Martin Bernal? Remember there was a teacher, a woman, Jewish woman, that was fighting him? There were two. One of them was at Howard. She was my teacher, Molly Levine. You're familiar with the last name. I'm saying no more about that. I'm not going to get us kicked off of YouTube.
No, it's your GCP.
Exactly.
GCP.
And so what I'm saying to you is, and it's deep. If you wanted to learn Portuguese at Howard, at least initially, they weren't interested because it's too close to Black. You could learn Russian and German and French, Spanish, kind of swarthy, but there's something. But no African languages. You can forget that, right? Never going to happen. You can't do Egyptology, but you can do, I was a classics minor. You can learn Latin and Greek. You bet Temple didn't have a program then. Forget about it. If you even dared use any of those books, like I said, Bernal or Diop or Van Sertima, you tried that shit that y'all do up in the New York area. No, they even told us in African Studies, forget you even heard those books. You heard about those. Don't cite those. Not for us. If you want to make it here, forget all about that. Afrocentric, all that stuff. Don't you dare mention it. And I can say to you, you have my book. There's not one mention of anybody close to that. Better not. Better not. And to show you how little regard they have for Black things, they have a Black Studies department. I don't think to this day it offers anything beyond a bachelor's degree program. Other white schools since offer masters and doctors, but not going to do it. Not really interested in pushing that. So going back to Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway and how dynamic it is, because Roberta Flack will say her chances were limited in classical. That's probably because these people are really hard on you. Decided it would be easier for her to do jazz, show tunes, pop, blues, than to try to go in the classical thing. You'll find classical music is extremely repressive. It's extremely racist. It still is. And I'm not trying to claim anything. There's a woman, her maiden name is Joyner. Okay. The first Black opera singer is probably my cousin. She's called the Black something, the first Black opera singer. She's from North Carolina, moved to Virginia. Or either they're from Virginia, but the Joyners have been in the family for like 200 years. 300 years, 300 years, same family. That's one, like my ancestors. Supposedly Jesse Norman's my cousin, and my relatives I have named Battle. Kathleen Battle potentially is. I'm just saying. And classical music, there's some cousins of mine that are at the Met with the last name Short. Classical music is mean, it's cold, and people's expectation, Black people have to be beyond perfect to be tolerated. in classical music because it's white people's shit, or so they think. Even though some of the people that started classical music aren't white, but then again, people start fighting over that too. So imagine that instead of getting, a lot of people found the fine arts department at Howard repressive and unkind and cruel, and you had a lot of black teachers whose backs and their career stuff had been broken because things were limited to them. They passed the meanness and the abuse on to their students. This is what black people tend to do. Older black folks fuck over young black people. They haze them like a Greek letter society instead of saying, I'm going to make it better and easier for you to get those things. If you've ever noticed a lot of older black people, well, I had it that hard too. Yeah, white cop beat me too. My point is, why anybody beating us? So anyway, I just want to say Roberta Flack went on to earn quite a few gold records, platinum albums. She was on television. She did a little bit of acting. I know she was in, did something. I think she played in Busting Loose with Richard Pryor. Did a little bit of acting. She was on Sesame Street and the Electric Company. And Roberta Flack was, she became a more mild, more accessible black woman figure than what Diana Ross, or for that matter, Aretha Franklin, or for that matter, Natalie Cole. She became kind of cool. And a lot of people would go to see in Wolf Trap, and she had music that relaxed people, and she sang songs composed, by white folks. Killing me softly with his song, killing me softly. Or what's that song? Killing me softly. I mean, all these songs, I mean, she basically created a niche for basically the prototype of neo soul, middle of the road music that somebody like Anita Baker and others would move into later. I'm not saying it's exact, but you follow? Certain people, Sade could move because of her. There's a whole bunch of folks, and I'm not saying that Roberta Flack didn't do, I think she had a couple of up-tempo songs, but she didn't have a lot of boogie woogie. There was a guy who went to school with Roberta. I can't remember his name. In fact, when I went to see Gerald Horne, the historian, the communist historian who writes so many wonderful books, there is a bar next to the Sankofa bookstore that used to be called Chuck and Billy's or something like that. It's a hole-in-the-wall bar where people sing and get drunk or whatever. And this dude would talk about Roberta Flack like a dog and how none of her music has any pulse. But in reality, why does everybody black got to twerk and dance and boogie? Why can't people just do? What's so wrong with Johnny Mathis or Nat King Cole? What's so wrong with Nancy Wilson? Why does it have to be music that you boogie to? What's wrong with Marian Anderson? Can't there be, and let me go back and remind people, one of the very first black record labels was called Black Swan. Black Swan was a full label before other people thought about it. Black Swan did classical music, gospel music, country music, folk music, blues, ragtime. They did all of it, and it was a black record company. In fact, Columbia Records, aka Sony, Michael Jackson's company that helped off him, one of the first things that they did was acquire the masters of Black Swan Records. Black record makers who got crushed by the Great Depression, but before, they had a thing of making music for the whole world. Long before Berry Gordy said the sound of young America. Long before then, these people had a vision that we could make music that could touch anybody in the world and still be who we were as Black folks. And if you were a classical musician that was Black, we'd record you, right? If you were a preacher and preaching records used to sell well, and T.D. Jakes is proof that a Black religious sucker is born every second. And if you believe that 10% shit, you're a sucker. You are. So anyway, so Roberta Flack, it's just we can do more about her. I didn't want to just run down all this, but she just did everything: radio, television. She'd do special shows, command performances. She is one of the bridge figures between the R&B of the 50s and 60s and the neo soul music that emerges in the 90s. If you think about it, the Fugees, or Fugees, however you want to say it, they sampled her. It's very obvious that people with more sophisticated type soul, R&B, were listening to people like her and Donny Hathaway. And that's what kind of reintroduced people, the younger people, to Roberta Flack, is that Lauryn Hill and them were big on Roberta Flack. It's true, she didn't scream and shout like Aretha, didn't boogie like Shaka Khan, but she was putting it down in her own unique way. And when you think about this, not a whole lot. I mean, so I'm not here to, all I want to say is that we loved her. She always made you feel good. She always looked good. She always represented. The thing that was very hurtful when I was reading something about her, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, she was a godmother of an artist named Bernard Wright, who I think is the same Bernard Wright that I knew. And I heard he died in an automobile accident in 22. I've been trying to reach Bernard for a while, if it's the same one. And I'm hoping that it's not. But the Bernard Wright that I know, I wrote, they don't respond. They haven't done it in years. So I'm wondering if that's the one that died. And that was very hurtful to think Roberta died. And this guy would always talk about Roberta. I think that may have been him. Can you imagine? He had one big song, Girl, I'm in Love with You, that came out, what, about 41 years ago? And the girl would always say, the refrain is, are you sure, girl, I'm in love with you? Are you sure as my love is true? Whatever. You remember that? And it had like a string bass intro to it. You don't remember that? No. Okay, all right. Well, I don't know. You're probably out banging heads with people, not thinking about love back then. So, Roberta Flack, a queen, a real one, that didn't have to like have her boobs hanging out, didn't have to scream, didn't have to have like tattoos on her eyeballs, didn't have to like. Now, she had a song called Jessie, and I think she had an affair with Jesse Jackson. Oh, yeah, Jessie, I won't have to spill the wine for you. And she's talking about, because Jesse Jackson, he was a hoe. Long before Kamala Harris got in public life. Jesse Jackson, like I said, I may not wear a condom, but I am somebody. So she had an affair with Jesse Jackson, and supposedly so did Gladys Knight. I mean, Jesse had to have everybody. We're one big orgy coming together, feeling each other out, making our way, pulling the drawers to the floor, and feeling the sensation of two bodies rubbing together. And it's very fun when your wife cannot catch you. Anyway.
So Wow.
We're gonna go to Jerry Butler.
You got chat. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Jerry Butler, singer and impersonator. Like he's way before my time.
Okay, well, Jerry Butler. What we have to say is Jerry Butler is similar to Roberta Flack, but in a different way. Jerry Butler was the bridge between old school R&B, updated R&B. That because there was the Louis Jordan R&B and the who's the person? Ruth Brown. You know, Mama, you treat your daughter mean, right? Mama, treat your daughter mean. He's the meanest man I've ever seen, right? The old R&B was more bluesy and less. It literally demarcated itself from gospel.
Okay.
Jerry Butler knows folk. I mean, and his hit comes along around the time of Ray Charles. Ray Charles is a transitional figure. 1959 is a transitional year in Black music. You have two songs in particular. You have Hey Mama, don't you do me wrong. Come and love me like all that night. What I say, okay.
That show called Soul. You remember that show Soul?
Yeah, I do. From New York. I've seen it a few times. Yeah. Now look, Ray Charles is What I Say. People need to understand. Made a lot of people mad. Okay, and my parents from the generation of Ray Charles was a monster. When he was busted for being on drugs, people celebrated. We knew he was the devil. How dare him take church music and have people singing orgy? Like they go, I mean, that's orgasm. They're acting as if they're whoring. I mean, and you could flip the record over and listen for another 2-3 minutes with these people groaning. So you have a sanctified orgy that he had, and then you had the Isley Brothers put out their Shout. Now wait a minute, I feel all right, right? Yeah. Now I got my woman, been so good. I mean, that's imitating church stuff, right? Been so good to me, you know. Okay, you had Shout, you had What I Say, and then you had Jerry Butler's Your Precious Love. You know, your precious love means more to me than any love could ever be. Right? They literally, that was like a straight gospel song that they sang. Even more gospel than the Shout of the Ray Charles. And that's what the Impressions had. That's credited as the very first soul song. I mean, Ray Charles was living around the edges. Shout was playing around it. They just went ahead straight like it was church music. And it was a smash. The Impressions and Jerry Butler, Curtis Mayfield, and the other people, that's what launched. A lot of people say that's the record that's soul. That's the record that touched Sam Cooke because he's from Chicago. And Sam Cooke and them are still, you know, darling, you send me, right? He's trying to don't know much about this. You're still singing pop. Like, I'm not trying to do like he did with the Soul Stirrers, you know. What would he do? Wonderful. God is so wonderful, right? That's how Sam Cooke was singing before. And then when he went to the white label, when he left Specialty Records, went to Keen and then went to RCA, he was watching Ray Charles and these other people make records that were real, more like what was real to him as a person. Sam Cooke's a preacher's kid. And you're in a gospel group, you're basically the equivalent of Luther Vandross of gospel for about 3-4 years. You're the prettiest, best singing gospel male artist in the country, hands down. and you're singing faraway places with their strange sounding names. If you hear some of the Sam Cooke's B-sides and stuff, it's like, damn, Sam, is that you? Sam Cooke and them people trying to figure out how not to make church people mad. You need to understand, this our community, we haven't always been this fucked up as a group. It's just been recent. Okay, if you did what we Pentecostal sanctified that, it's called selling out. If you were a good gospel singer and you got a record deal to sing popular music, you were called a sellout. And people would like throw your shit in the trash. Certain churches would tell you, you can't come, we don't want you, you work for the devil. And I'll just say to you, my dad is a gospel musician, and it runs in the family. I have a cousin that you've heard of named Thelonious Monk, who's from Rocky Mount. The Monks, all of us are the same, related people. Okay, my father played gospel music, and people said, that's R&B, that's rock and roll. Get out of our church. We'll hit you with that piano before we let you play another. Get out and stay out. Right? I mean, that's how it used to be. I mean, what you could do is watch the movie. It's an old movie. It's not that interesting, but it's worth seeing if you want to get the cultural context. It's a movie called St. Louis Blues with Eartha Kitt, Pearl Bailey, and Nat King Cole. And it'll show there's a scene. Have you ever seen it? And they start to get down on the piano, and the father goes off, and they have to like go back and sing. There was a real war in the Black community over what's legitimate music. There's God's music, and it's.
How did they know? Sound?
If people get too happy and carried away, that's not cool. Okay, and so the more dead it was, the more close it was to God. Sort of like white people. Shall we gather at the river, down at the throne way of God, right? But if you start singing, trouble in my way, I gotta cry sometime, I got to cry some. Whoa, trouble in my way, gotta cry sometime. You lay awake at night, right? That's a whole different feeling. Yeah, and it builds, right? You're not gonna have it. You're not gonna have any nigger religious bop, right? And this was white people too. You have to understand. Okay, we have to do some history right here. So gospel music, it's related. If you think about Mahalia Jackson, who's Baptist, but got a lot of her musical stylings from sanctified churches. As I said to you, at Howard and many other places, Black gospel music was associated with voodoo, hoodoo, witchcraft, all of that. Okay, devil music. And you don't do that. It was seen as unacceptable. So you do hymns, you do spiritual. See, there was an aspirational dimension in Black culture, right? Where the spirituals, initially people didn't do them, and then there was a whole move to reclaim the spirituals, clean them up, right? And make them into something that, so people would remember that we have been enslaved, and at the same time to add dignity to the song. So, for example, you know the song "Oh Happy Day," which they would have never sang in Howard's Chapel until what's this guy's name? The dean of the chapel that they have now let gospel music in. In fact, I confronted him in the 90s. Dean Richardson. I confronted Dean Richardson on the stairs of the Carnegie building, and I asked him, are we going to still be fake in chapel? I like anthems. I like spirituals. I like all of it. But what happened to Thomas Dorsey and Martin and Morris and all these other great Black religious composers, how come none of their music is ever sang? It has to either be white or Black classical, or it has to be stylized, sanitized spirituals. You get where I'm coming from? Let me give you an example. What the people did not want, what was seen as inappropriate, was what sounded like poor or struggling Blacks singing. Okay, let me give you an example. My mother was in Wings Over Jordan. Wings Over Jordan was America's #1 gospel group for decades. They sang highly polished and refined spirituals and Jubilee songs, right? So, for example, there's a spiritual. I'm gonna give you a piece of it, okay? It goes like this. I've been puked and I've been scorned. I've been puked and I've been scorned. Children, I've been puked and I've been scorned. I've been talked about, shows you born. Okay, now that's how they want you to do it. If you did this one, I've been puked and I've been scorned. I've been talked about, shows you born. Right? No, stop it. Stop it. Right? So I'm just telling you, I used to be in the choir and we sing a song. Tramping, trying to make heaven my home. I'm tramping. So do you really think people who didn't speak standard English had that kind of diction? But this is what the fake boule sellout traitor elite class is. Let's act as if everybody spoke standard English like they went to Harvard when they were singing. And anything that shows that we got whipped, that we were hungry, that we were catching hell, let's fix that up. So the Fifth Jubilee singers went all over Europe, but they sang a cleaned up spiritual, so white people could like it. It's about pleasing white people. You see what I'm saying? And that gets back to Jerry Butler and them saying, we're going to sing the way we want to sing. Ray Charles says, I'm going to be me. I'm not going to be Nat King Cole. I can't be a sepia. What's this guy's name? Frank Sinatra. I want to be me, right? Why do I have to do this? Yeah, you need to understand that there's a warfare waged in music. Like Nat King Cole, when he did his soundy for Nature Boy, they made him white in order for him to be able to be played to the audiences. There's a struggle over our ability to be our own selves, even in something as basic as music. There's a reason that Florence Ballard wasn't picked as the lead singer for the Supremes. We need a voice that white people will like. There's a reason that Martin Luther King's picked over Ralph Abernathy. A lot of what we do as Black people is about pleasing white people. How will white people feel about this if we do this or do that? We've got to think about what they want. And that's often because we don't support each other. So if you've ever listened to the first recording of Shop Around by the Miracles, there's another recording. The initial recording of Shop Around has tambourines in it. It's too gospel-y. Berry Gordy says, hey, stop it. Don't circulate the record. Get rid of the tambourines. Get rid of some of this black so it can reach. And it did. It went to #1 R&B and #1 in Cashbox. And it's a lie that it didn't go #1 in Billboard. I mean, Lawrence Welks' Calcutta. Nobody knows what the hell that song is. Everybody knows Shop Around. 60 plus years later. You get me? So there's a commercial and a cultural thing that says white will get you further than black. Even among black people. And so there's always a struggle. Even James Brown had to fight to be James Brown. Remember? He's with Federal Records under Sid Nathan, a Jew. And Sid says, just keep doing what you're doing. You're selling okay. And James Brown says, no, I want to do something else. Right? And the guy says, well, you won't do it on this label. James Brown said, well, fuck you. And he went over to Smash and did, you got your high heel sneakers on, and you're stepping new, right? So Smash. And I was, oh my God, they made money without us. Okay, you can be black, but you better make money. So even the great James Brown, after making hits for years, after having a multi-million selling live album, live at the Apollo that he paid for out of his own pocket, which nobody wants to hear anybody black do a live album. That's what he was told. Nobody will buy this. So James Brown, I'll do it myself. Right?
Wow.
Berry Gordy said to Marvin Gaye, please don't put this out. Please don't put what's going on out. This is shit, Marvin. What's wrong with you? Why would you do this? It's garbage, Marvin. It's trash. You don't want. And Marvin basically said, if you don't let me put this album out, I'll never record for you again. Right? That's the story. And Berry Gordy says, fuck it. And released it. It's the best-selling album that Motown ever made. But Berry Gordy, again, it's not the sound of young black America. It's the sound of young America. People of color and everybody else. So once you start thinking about it, Dionne Warwick's another such person. Dionne Warwick, she just got, admitted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. People don't know what to do. Dionne Warwick sang music composed by white people that wasn't super whatever. And a lot of folks in Europe thought she was white. And so, I mean, and in reality, because Dionne Warwick didn't do a whole lot of gospel styling and an aggressive gospel styling in how she sang, Dionne Warwick lost out on a lot of hits that white women and others covered. A lot of white women would literally copy Dionne Warwick and get a bigger hit because they were white. All they do is take her record, treat it like a demo. Are you understanding me? So the struggle to be who and what we are plays out into soul. Why they call it soul is you're singing from your soul. You're being you. You're not being like, I can name groups for you. Black people that were successful prior to the late 50s, my friend, tended to pander, unless they had a very strong black audience, like, say, forgive me for forgetting this guy's name. I was just thinking about him. But the band is called the Timpani Five. Louis Jordan. Louis Jordan was one of these people who had like 16 or more #1 R&B records, but didn't really cross over to white people. You get me? Black folks didn't make the money for a range of reasons unless they had a white following, typically. I'm just saying this to you. So if you want to make it, unless you're like super phenomenon, like a Bessie Smith or whatever, you needed to like find a way to cross over to get more money because the black venues were few. They didn't pay as much, right? So a big part of making it was reaching a white audience. Aretha Franklin spent 6 years of her life making records that they thought white people would buy, and they didn't. The Four Tops were at Columbia too, and luckily they got ripped away by Motown before they signed. That was what you did. You wanted to be like Johnny Mathis. You wanted to be somebody that was able, and the Four Tops were making money before they got to Motown. They were singing all the white show tunes and doing colleges because they could do their stuff. I'll just give you a quick story. We'll go back to Jerry Butler. I was talking to who I called Mama D, Denise LaSalle, and she was talking about the first time she saw the Four Tops. And they came to the Black Theater, if I'm correct, it's called the Regal. And the Four Tops were there singing. And they were singing all these great songs, but they weren't Black songs. These were songs, their repertoire for a white audience. And the people were about to boo the Four Tops. And then they broke into Baby, I Need Your Loving. People went wild. Sing our shit, not theirs. That's the more, do not sing their stuff. If do not sing our stuff. But understand, one of the things that happened between, say, 1945 and 1960 is this growing Black middle class. Black folks are buying and consuming more things, more records, more record players, more Black formatted programs. There's an economy that will pay and support people who made music for Black ears. So Chess Records is an example. Atlantic, on a certain level, was an example, which is why they took Aretha Franklin, and then they changed, right, and wanted to go more smooth or to go hard rock and get these people. So the money and the fear of starving, because there are a lot of starving Black artists to this day, right? They get ripped off, bad management and everything else. So back to Jerry Butler and the Impressions, they had a major breakthrough with Your Precious Love, which even made it into the top 15 records in this country, maybe even been a top 10, which was a shock. People singing hardcore Black gospel styling music. I mean, wow, off of a small label. Moving right along, Jerry Butler left the Impressions, and the Impressions with Curtis Mayfield went on. Outside of the Temptations, Four Tops was still one of the more successful Black vocal groups, but Jerry Butler, who got the name the Iceman for making smooth music. He did He Don't Love You Like I Love You, Moon River, Hey Western Union Man, and then Hey Hey Mr. Dream Maker, or Dream Merchant, I'm sorry. Hey Hey Mr. Dream Merchant, right? He represented just a sophisticated, polished Chicago soul. So the Chai Lights and all the other smooth people that come out of Chicago, a lot of them get I guess a little bit of their shine from Jerry Butler. And Chicago's a major music center for Black music. His biggest hit is Only the Strong Survive. And he also sang with Betty Everett, Let It Be Me. You know that song? Boy, 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 what you doing with your head hanging down? Crying your eyes out because the woman that you love is gone. There's gonna be some trouble in your life. Right? So, and Only the Strong Survive was a smash hit for him. And Elvis Presley, when he did his Memphis album, basically did a cover of Only the Strong Survive. Yeah, basically it got next to Elvis. Elvis had to do it. So, Jerry Butler influenced a whole generation of singers that people could be smooth. So people like Donny Hathaway and all the other soul crooners all got a little bit from him bringing the soul styling, gospel styling into Black popular music. And one thing that we can say about him is he never sold out. The one thing I want to mention, um, for a long time, he was part of a group of Black rhythm and blues male legends. Uh, Benny King, Lloyd Price, Gene Chandler, and of course himself, Jerry Butler. They were called the Four Kings. And sadly, there's only Gene Chandler's the only one still alive. Everybody else is deceased. And so the Impressions, just Curtis Mayfield and all these people continue to work together. They represented basically the cream of what Chicago was putting out, short of Jackie Wilson at Brunswick and a couple of other people, but they were the standout people, the Impressions, who are on ABC Paramount. And I don't remember the label that Jerry Butler was on, but just a very good voice until it kind of gave out. But let me see, where are you, brother? You must be in the restroom. So how are you guys liking this? Who liked Jerry Butler? Who liked Roberta Flack? Somebody tell me that you like Roberta Flack. Who liked, okay, I love the Impressions. I love the Impressions. I loved Sam Cooke. Love Jerry Butler. He don't love you like I love you. If he did, he wouldn't break your heart. He don't love you like I love you. He's trying to tear us apart. Great song. In fact, Dionne Warwick, I'm going to give you a piece of history. Dionne Warwick's first hit was written to make up to her for a song that she thought would be her first release on Scepter Records, composed by Hal David and Burt Bacharach, which is called Make It Easy on Yourself. And all they did was use a song that they were supposed to give to Dionne. They gave it to Jerry Butler. They used to do that at record labels, and see, because he was a bigger star. And it's incredible. I mean, the song again. Dionne was so mad at them for giving this song to Jerry Butler until she told them, there's an expression back in the day, "Don't make me over." In other words, don't screw over me. I see through this. And that's how they wrote the song "Don't Make Me Over" for Dionne Warwick, to make up for that song that she recorded, that she thought, right? That she thought that would be for her. So that's literally the start of Dionne Warwick, is her doing these songs, and of course that going to Jerry Butler. I'm trying to think, what's that song? Trying to think, what is it? I just told y'all this brain is interesting, and I'm not having brain fog. What's that song she had? Nope. And I'm thinking about all these Dionne Warwick songs. Wait a minute. What's that song? I'm trying to think that Jerry Butler had given to him, that was for Dionne Warwick. She sang it first, and they gave it to Jerry Butler. And it was in my mind a second ago. Wait, give me 1 second. Let me think on this. This is what's one of the curses of being older, is trying to remember things that are so old. What's the song that he had? Wait, give me 1 second, y'all. Give me one old folks second so I can think. What is that damn song? I know it too. Hold on.
Make it easy for yourself.
Yeah, right. If you really love her, right? If you really love, if you really love her, okay, make it easy on yourself. If you really love her, make it easy on yourself, or if you really love him. And it's really nice. Make it easy on yourself. Her version was better than his, so they released it later. I think she may have had a breaking up is so very hard to do. As another way of giving it. It's a breaking up is so very hard to do, right? And so Dionne got cheated. So that's the story of Dionne Warwick's first song was written because Jerry Butler took her first song. And so that's, I think about that's a long time ago because Dionne Warwick's song "Don't Make Me Over" came out 63 years ago.
You know, it's funny. It's funny because I don't think she gets a lot of credit that she did. I think Dionne Warwick, like you know, I was a kid. I was told she was a legend, but I never really heard her sing. It was like like you said, her career was like it peaked early, and then it just
it peaked and it came back. Let's just say this happened. This is what happens in the music business to a lot of black artists. The Dionne Warwick was on Scepter. Scepter really pushed Dionne. The Jewish woman, Miss Greenberg, really pushed Dionne. And Dionne had How David and Burt Bacharach pushing her. So Dionne Warwick because I'm a little older than you, Dionne Warwick was the most played female artist from like 1968 to 1972. I mean, you were baptized by Dionne Warwick. I'll never fall in love again. I'll never fall in love again. I mean, you were being slaughtered by Dionne Warwick. Was like the number one formatted. Well, I mean, across radio, you heard Dionne Warwick all the time. I can remember that, and I'm saying the reason I remember, you couldn't play popular music in my house. The only popular female voice I ever heard on a radio in my house before I was 10 years old was Dionne Warwick. My mother hates Aretha Franklin. Just know, my mother was casting shade at her when we watched the funeral on television. It's like, you're a hater, Mom. Aretha's great. Mama says, I don't see why people like her. Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Short,
we gotta do Congo. We gotta do Congo, and
it's 140th anniversary or something.
Yes,
and a lot of times those of us who don't really know history, a lot of times don't understand that something that happened 140 years ago is still shaping the world today.
That's right.
And the effects of what happened 140 years ago,
it's in fact, it's more dangerous now than ever. So let's talk about it. 140 years ago this week, the United States and many nations of Europe, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Germany, Belgium, England, France, all met at a conference in Berlin. It was called the Berlin West Africa Conference, in which these countries, including the United States, came together to discuss how white folks were going to steal all the land from the people in Africa and divide it up amongst themselves. Sort of like a crime family. And someone said, Roberta Flack and I were born on February 10th, so we shared a birthday. And my birthday is February 9th, so I always remember Roberta Flack's birthday is February 10th. And of course, the disc jockey Madam Lucille Banks, Robinson Miller, the gospel guru, my dear friend, and my brother Sekele. Their birthday's February 11th. So I always, the 9th, 10th, and 11th are days are important. And yes, and I share my birthday with that bitch, Alice Walker. Damn. Why did I get Roberta Flack? Anyway, I would have rather had Roberta Flack than Alice Walker. But back to the Berlin Conference. So 140 years ago, they decided to steal everything that the Africans had as like crime families, divide up who's going to sell narcotics, who's going to do prostitution and gambling. That's what they did with Africa, and arbitrarily divided Africa up without any respect for traditions, customs, geography. And that's why Africa is the disaster zone invented by white people in Europe. And what's happening at this 140th year, one of the main jewels that someone got was the Congo. The crooked liar king, King Leopold II of Belgium, claimed that he was going to make Congo a wonderful civilized place. The man had like 10, 15 million people killed. Segue to now, since 1996, easily another 10 to 15 million people have been killed and injured in the Congo because they've been at civil war, because the same white powers have been using different countries like Rwanda, Uganda, and to a lesser degree, their other neighbors, to steal the resources that fuel our phones and all of our high tech. A lot of this comes out of northeastern Congo. But I can go back and say to you, when I was talking to my auntie today, Mama Chappelle, Dave Chappelle's mother, Yvonne Reed Sion, who was working in the Congo, God, 64 years ago, because the President of the United States, Eisenhower, and others had Patrice Lumumba murdered, first president of Congo, and they had a civil war, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people died. And Congo is a super rich land, maybe with 100 to 120 million people, and they're not allowed to enjoy their wealth because other countries like Belgium and the United States and France and Uganda and Rwanda and other countries and Israel benefit, and the United Nations deliberately keep the country poor, weak, and divided. And this has been going on since 1885. So when you hear about the Holocaust for Jews, Congo has had 3 Holocausts. Holocaust between 1885 and 1905. You had a Holocaust between 1961 and say 1965. And then you had a Holocaust that started in 1996 that's still ongoing. When I was in Congo, I would tell any of you, the one thing I'll never forget is being in a church in Goma. By the way, Goma is one of the capitals of one of the states in northeastern, I think it's Kivu Sud, if I'm correct. Or it's Kivu Nord, it's one of the two. It's one of them. It's a city, a huge city. I went to a church, and I don't know, I'm kind of silly. I like kids. So I bought about the equivalent of like $200 worth of candy. I took all this candy with me to Congo. And since I knew I was going to church, I was going to like play like a preacher, and I was going to have communion and have all the kids line up and bless them and give them candy. It was a lot of fun. And I wish I could do more than give someone candy. But when I got into church after giving all this candy out, the kids couldn't believe it. And by the way, one thing that tripped me out is the people kept calling me Muzungu, which means white. Muzungu, Muzungu, Muzungu. So And I'm thinking, come on, I'm not that, like, damn. Muzungu. And basically for them, if you have money, they associate it with being white. So when y'all hear me say white, yes, it's universal. We do not believe in ourselves. It's everywhere, even in the heart of Africa. I can't even be nice and love my own people overseas because of this white mindedness of our people, and it's everywhere. And these kids were very small. They already knew white was better at the age of 4 and 5 in the heart of Africa. But when I got into church, all these preachers were jumping around. I was turned off. So I gotta do something other than pay attention to these sorry ass preachers. I'm about to like go outside and hang with the kids because me and a lot of preachers. I just think a lot of preachers are full of shit. They are. But I saw one woman sitting on the floor near the door, near one of the entrances of a church, and she was just sitting there, just as calm and peaceful. They were drumming and these people doing this stuff. And I kept seeing this woman, and I figured, they would maybe, I can like wing a little bit of French. But I asked someone, who is the woman there? And I says, oh, this is a woman. No. Who is the woman sitting on the floor there? I don't know. I says, find someone and tell me who is the lady sitting on the floor. And eventually someone said, she's the one that works with women. And I knew what that meant. This woman works with the women who would get gang raped by the soldiers as they invade and go into areas and just rape the women and the girls. And this woman just sat there almost like a statue because of all the trauma she's seen. You could feel the gravity of what this woman had had to witness. You see, each time the armies go through, they rape the women and the children. This is paid for by USAID. This is paid for by corporations. This is the white civilization mission in Africa. Even Obama kicked this shit back off. They began killing people again in January of 2009. Actually, December of 2008, when they knew that Obama would be president. Normally, the killing in Congo goes on when you have a Democratic administration. So the killing that you're hearing about in Congo has all happened under Biden. I'm not saying I worship Trump, and I'm not saying that the Trump people are holy or love Africa, but notice Trump and them are saying that the fighting has to stop. I'm not making Trump. I mean, there's some connection. Elon Musk will get something. But he's saying the fighting has to stop. For the first time, there's been some suggestion, some penalty for somebody in Rwanda after 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million people have been killed. It's Trump, the racist. Trump, the one we're told to hate and fear, and he's just completely against black people. It's the first person to say stop the killing.
And then the president just reached out to the United States, the president of Congo.
Yeah, it's as I said, when y'all see me, I can't wait until the Diddy stuff gets released. If Obama's with Justin Bieber, all of y'all can kiss my ass. I told you Obama wasn't shit. I remember the killing in Congo started in December 2008, right after Obama won. They knew, the people that backed Obama, folk in the diamonds in Israel and other places, that they were going to allow them to just murder and rape all the people that they wanted. America, by the way, let me just explain to you, for all of you who say, who gives a damn about Congo? Let me tell you, FBA Negro, something. Senator John Tyler Morgan from Alabama, part of the reason that the United States supported Belgium getting the Congo and even possibly looking the other way as they killed the people in the Congo. Congo was supposed to be a place that we Black Americans were dumped into. We were supposed to be sent over there. I used to have the documents. That was part of the whole discussion. In fact, they had planned to send us over there like the migrants coming here that are replacing us. We were supposed to be sent to Congo to civilize the Africans and become an overseer slave class in Congo. That's how Congo got given to the Belgians instead of the Germans, who only got Rwanda and Burundi. As big as Germany is, and as small as Belgium is, Belgium got the big ass piece and Germany got the small pieces next to it. Now they got Tanzania, Cameroons, and Namibia and Togo, but the big thing is Congo. But because they were saying if Belgium gets the Congo will be a natural market for the cotton picked by Black people in America, for all the naked people in Africa. Be careful. Don't let this FBA shit lead you to the point where you don't give a damn about what happens to people anywhere else. You can care about home, but also have a second eye looking on the side, because what happens to people other places can happen to us here. And more than likely, since everything is interconnected with this global capitalism, it's basically screw Negroes wherever they are, even if they don't consider themselves to be Negroes, even if they don't like each other. It's a war against us all. At least be aware. So the diamonds, your cell phone, your tablets, your computers, your plasma televisions, that's being provided by genocide, slave labor, and mass rape. Think about it the next time. Congo, thanks to Black Americans, my book talks about one of them. We played a very instrumental role in helping Congo get from under, as best we could, white rule. It's cost people stuff. When I talked to Yvonne Sion or Yvonne Chappelle, they're still monitoring her. She's 87 years old. You want to get in some trouble? Get involved with Africa. Care about some place other than here and see how quickly you get a file. You want to see a person that's got a file? You're looking at one. And I've had a file around Africa since 1983. I've had a file about America since 1981. And my file really blew up after 2014. Black Lives Matter everywhere. Even if our struggle is here, we should be concerned about struggles in other places. And I want to go back and say that all those countries in the Sahel, Chad, Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Niger, they're telling the French to get the fuck out. It's a reaction to the Berlin West Africa Conference that put them under the French in the first damn place. To show you the more things change, the more white supremacy stays the same. And it's time for us to start fighting everywhere where we are to free ourselves from centuries of people making deals where our suffering is a profit center for people who hate our guts. And like in Congo, as in Rwanda and everywhere else, they have boule, sellout, traitor African leaderships. African people are poor, but Africa's rich. African people are poor because they have traitor leaders. Black Americans are poor because we have traitor leadership. Religious, secular, cultural, and political, and economic leaders are traitors. Every single solitary one of them. And the only way that we're not going to end up being genocided slowly like the Congolese is for us to get the yoke of the boule off of us. Once you get rid of the boule, everything else is downhill. The people in Congo had a chance to be free when they got rid of Mobutu. When the Americans learned that the people in Congo were not going to tolerate Mobutu, they turned on him. The same way that they're turning on Joy Reid and Jonathan Fake Hart. And I hope they're supposed to have that punk ass Barbara Jordan looking mayor of Chicago to come and try to justify illegals getting preference over us. It's not going to happen. I hope they destroy him. In fact, I hope Marjorie Taylor Greene's racist ass gets all over him. So let me see. Are we good? Because we can do this again. We can come back and do a more extensive thing on Congo. But if there's nothing else I want y'all to get, Roberta Flack was a great, gorgeous, classy-looking woman. I remember that big-ass afro. I mean, you could have grown apples in that damn thing. It was so big. She loved kids. She never made Black people look bad. Unlike our musicians and people today, I can't even listen or buy this shit. When I hear it, it just makes me angry. Almost all of it, I just want to destroy it. I almost wish I have a fantasy to be dictator of Black America. Man, I would destroy all the bad music. I would put all the people that put shit music in jail. Or actually, you know what? I would make them pick cotton. Since you want us to be slaves, you should lead by example. I would make Diddy and all of them, they would be picking cotton 24/7, and we'd make them listen to country music, bad country music. Hank Williams Sr., not even Jr. I'd show them, since y'all like bad music, make you listen to some no good, twangy country music with the steel guitar and all that shit. I would break their asses, every one of them. And they wouldn't be allowed to twerk. Nope. In fact, and Lizzo, oh my God. I would put Lizzo on a cucumber diet. All that fat would fall off. You got any more questions? Did we have fun tonight? And Jerry Butler was great. The Iceman was dignified. And again, there was no stories of drugs, or he wasn't fagging. They didn't need to have freak offs. Damn. Just beautiful music. Beautiful Black men and women. People that liked each other. I miss that. That's why I'm angry. I'm angry. We had it and we threw the shit in the trash. It isn't what we don't have as Black people. It's what we don't appreciate that we already have. As long as we're ungrateful and wasteful, we'll always be damned. It's time to take stock of what you've got in order to get more. It says if you're faithful with the few things, God will give you more. That also means if you aren't faithful with the little shit you have, you don't get nothing. Wake up, wake the hell up, people. Now, I've had 2 hours of your time. Let's do a commercial. I want to remind everybody 7 p.m. In fact, I'm going to start at 6. I'm going to do a warm-up because we're going to have Jaguar Wright and Dewan B and me and Wolfgang talking about music. And we're also going to be talking about all these sellout boule traders trying to destroy Jaguar. We can't let anybody attack or destroy any Black man or woman of courage. I don't give a damn what her damn idiosyncrasies are. Jaguar's telling the truth. And if you're a real man and you're not some kind of pedophile baby rapist, you're down with Jaguar. If you're not some kind of trader, stud, procurer, pork chop feminist, you're down with Jaguar. It's plain and simple. Stop raping the women, babies, and the vulnerable males. Hate the shit. It must end. It's ending this year. There's judgment. All you BWAC, Greek letter, Eastern Star, Prince Hall Masons, hypocritical, no good church Negroes and Negresses, especially the hoes with the psychedelic sombreros and shit that you wear to church. If you've been naughty, Santa Claus is going to come down on your ass from the Justice Department. We've been waiting for this my whole life. And I want to put out a warning to y'all. Y'all may have destroyed C. Dolores Tucker, who happened to be residing in Philadelphia, the home city of Jaguar. Y'all are not going to get to destroy this young one. We got prayers going up for her. And so what? They smoke a blunt? Most of you do. In fact, that's what's wrong with Negroes. We've all become potheads. Sober up, clean up, stand up. You want people to respect us? You want some reparations? Fight for what's right. Stop being tricks. Stop being hoes. Stop being fagonist, liars, shifty, weak, black folk. Get it together. If you want to support the channel, I'm Dr. Randy Short. Dr. Randy Short's channel, of course, is the Angry Black Men's Book Club. If you want to send a donation, and of course I got books everywhere I need them. In fact, I had a book I want to show y'all, especially a lot of these sisters out here who have lost. Where's that damn book at? I think I got it. I hope I can find it. I had this really nice book. It's somewhere around. Let me look. Because I had it. Oh, here it is. It's right here. And this was expensive and it's thin. For all you sisters that don't get it, this book called When Rape Was Legal, it's expensive as hell. That's what I do with my donation money. I add to my research library. The Untold History of Sexual Violence During Slavery. If this offends you, why aren't you angry about what Jaguar is telling us? You mean if I've got gold records and platinum records on my wall, I have the right to do the same shit slave masters did that was wrong? You mean when black celebrities do what white slave masters did, it's right? We got a fucked up morality scale as a people. It needs to change. Let me read this. And it's a Jewish woman that wrote this. We need some black women to step up and for your allies. Let me read a little bit of this. There's all these damn feminists out here. White woman's role in sexual violence against enslaved black women. Maybe I should read some of this book tomorrow. Her back bore the scars of 1,000 stripes, not because she was backward in her work, nor because she was unmindful and rebellious spirit, but because it had fallen to her lot to be the slave of a licentious master and a jealous mistress. She shrank before the lustful eye of the one and was dangerous even of her life at the hands of the other. And between the two, she was indeed accursed. This is from 12 Years a Slave. That's the quote. So it's a black woman getting the shit kicked out of her by her feminist ally, you dumbass DEI hoes out here. You don't have any fucking friends other than God and black men. I'm talking about the good black men, not the sorry-ass ones you make bastards with. It's time for us to get real about this shit. This is the book every black woman need to read this. Y'all need to be re-educated. Killing babies and having a fucked up attitude and shit is ridiculous. And any black man that would treat you like these devils in this book isn't worth opening your legs for. You need to have a sex cot for sorry-ass black men. Stop fucking the hogs. Don't give them your phone number. I should read. You get what I'm saying? Oh my God.
With that,
hold on, let me give a little bit more. I love this. In them times, white men went with colored girls and women bold. At any time they saw one and wanted her, she had to go with him. And his wife didn't say nothing about it. These things going on now ain't new. They've been happening. That's why I say you just as well leave them alone because they're going to do what they want anyhow. That's from a slave talking about how they just raped and did it, and it's going on right now. Sexual slavery is one of the biggest industries in this country. Black women are disproportionately represented in it. And you have a problem if Jaguar misidentified one person in relationship to punk ass Gazy. 7 o'clock, I'm going to be with Jag. 6 o'clock, maybe I'm going to read some of this shit to fire this stuff up. Sisters, I've been waiting for years for another C. Dolores Tucker, who I used to work for. I love C. Dolores Tucker. At the height when other people didn't want her, I fell in love with her. We need sisters to fight for the babies, for the family, for womanhood. And brothers, you ain't a man if you're not fighting to protect Black women and children and vulnerable brothers. Everybody doesn't have the same strength. Again, I'm Dr. Randy Short. If you want to support this channel, my Venmo is Dr. Randy Short, DrRandyShort. My Patreon is Dr. Randy Short, DrRandyShort. My Cash App is $ Dr. Randy Short, DrRandyShort. Again, Dr. Randy Short with a $ in front of it, because a lot of Black people like Cash App, and I'm glad they do. If you're paranoid, you can use Zelle. My Zelle is WRandyShort@gmail.com. WRandyShort@gmail.com. I'll do it one more time because our people get slow when it comes down to giving. WRandyShort@gmail.com. And my PayPal is also WRandyShort@gmail.com. PayPal, WRandyShort@gmail.com. People don't use it that much. And I know it's a bunch of racist ass white South Africans that do it. But then again, where's the donation app that Black people made? Make one. I'll use the shit. But I bet you most of our people won't. So whatever, if you can't give, don't worry. Pray. Okay? Like I told y'all. And so I'm going to let this go. We've been at this just a little over 2 hours. And my co-host, he has a good white job, and I don't want him to lose it. You have a good white job. I don't want you to lose it. Okay, I respect you. And so I'll see you guys. He's going. So how many of you are going to show up and tell everybody that Jag and Dr. Short are together? And it wasn't my idea. But I just tell y'all, Jag saw a show I did and decided that they wanted to do a show with me. Normally people ask Jag to do shows. In this instance, I've been asked by Jag to do so. It's a command performance. And we're going to turn it out. Okay. And expect more. We're going to blow the damn algorithm out. They're not going to be able to silence everybody's voices anymore. And so I'm with Jaguar on the bullshit has to stop. You should be too. God bless everybody. And yes, I cuss, but I live decently. Good night. See you guys in just maybe a few hours. Y'all stay out of trouble. Okay? And I don't know. I've been praying for Jaguar. My God, I'm finally going to get to do something and say, sister, we're all not going to turn. We need to support people that speak up for us. And we should be the ones giving awards and strokes and props to people that fight battles that we may not be able to. God bless Jaguar Wright. God bless C. Dolores Tucker. God bless all you righteous sisters out there. I love you. When I'm talking stuff to Pork Chop Feminists, I'm not talking about Quiet Scales or Sister Smith or Miss Diggs. I'm talking about the sisters who are wayward the same way. When I talk about these pussy mouth bastard niggas out here, I'm talking about some sorry ass Black men. I mean, you belong on death row, the shit you're doing in the community. That's not all the righteous brothers. It's not Brother Mark Smith. It's none of those people. It's those no good Black folks. They are the foot soldiers of the boule and white supremacy. You guys be good. God bless and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you peace. As we would sing at Howard, The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord cause his face to shine upon you and give you peace. And give you peace. The Lord be gracious, gracious unto you. Amen. Amen. We would do this at Howard all the time, right? I can still do it. I haven't rehearsed, but yes, we could sing, still can, and better than the people who make gold records and stuff now. God, these people can't sing, can't dance, can't dress, can't live nothing, can't talk, can't even be straight. God. All right. We ending this. We closing down. You guys treat me like I'm white. Come back tomorrow. All right. Good night, everyone. Good night. Whiteness. And thank you, moderators, for shutting down all the bastards